Hello, welcome back to the Brains and Weans podcast with your host, Jen Knowledge. This episode is probably the one that I was inspired to start the podcast with. What am I trying to say? This subject is the thing that inspired me to start a podcast. There you go. Fucking word salad there. So this is a love letter to the self-employed mums. I have been self-employed since 2022 and I became a mum just last year in 2025. I've only been a mum for 4 months. So I'm very much in my infancy. There are so many lessons that I still have to learn, which I'm fully aware of. And again, even when it comes to running a business, I am not even 3 full years yet into running a business. I am 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years in August since I've been full-time in my business. And honestly, I didn't have a product until 2 years ago. So I don't even know if I would count what I was doing before as running a business, because I was essentially a contractor and my business was like a fucking patchwork quilt. So yeah, I'm very much in my infancy in both of these things, but this is for the self-employed mums and all working mums. It's for all working mums because you'll be able to relate to so much of this. But this is also for the partners of the self-employed mums and the partners of the working mums, because if your partner struggles to communicate with you how they're feeling or what they need and what they want, then let me give you an insight into the inner workings of my mind, because it might be similar to theirs and it might help you to support them. But this is more in the context of a business owner who is also a mum, because it comes with unique challenges that I don't think apply to employed mums. I'm not saying that it's more difficult, less difficult, it's just different, right? It comes with different pros and different cons. So if that interests you, then stay tuned. And the reason I've called it a love letter is because I want you to recognise that you are not alone. I have felt quite lonely since becoming a mum. And I mean loneliness in the sense of like, it's not that I'm not surrounded by people. I'm surrounded with loads of people. I've got a great support network. Like, both of our families are fantastic and really involved with Rosa. Paul's mum is amazing, like go-to babysitter. She does Rosa's washing for us. Like, she looks after, like, she's honestly amazing. My own mum takes me in every Friday to entertain the Wayne when it's my day off with her. And our parents, our families, our siblings, our friends, we're incredibly, incredibly lucky. I also work in a job where I talk to people every day. So I don't mean loneliness in the sense that I don't have people around me. I mean loneliness in the sense of not knowing a lot of people who I can connect to that are in my specific circumstances. And I don't know a lot of women who... And it's not that they don't exist, I just don't know of them, right? So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to create it and I'm going to talk about it. I think that being a self-employed mum or a business owner mum, I need to stop saying self-employed because my accountant will fucking shout at me because I'm not self-employed, I'm a director. She says, you're not self-employed, you're the director of a limited company. So sorry, Lynn, if you're listening, you're definitely not listening. I think that thinking about it in the context, or thinking about being a business owner in the context of being a mum, it's really easy to assume that when a woman has a baby and becomes a mum, the business goes into second place and it becomes less important and you become less interested in it. And whilst that's true temporarily, and I found that to be true for the first chunk of time in the newborn stage when you're just trying to survive, like, this sounds pure fucking cheesy, but my business is my first baby. Like, I have spent so much time and energy, not even just building it since the business began, but in the fucking 8 years that I worked before the business was a thing, like developing the skills, the knowledge, the qualifications, like all of those things built and paved the way for the business that I run now. And I have spent way too long building that to just fucking dismantle it overnight when I become a mum. And I think, unfortunately, that's a controversial thing to hear from a woman. Like, the setup that we have, that me and Paul have, is a very non-traditional setup. So Paul is on parental leave. Paul has a great job, and I'm not telling you where and who with, so don't fucking ask me. Paul has a really, really great job with incredible family policies. So Paul is on parental leave with Rosa and he will go back to work in June, and I work 4 days a week. So we're both like he's obviously full-time employed and on like not paternity leave, parental leave, and I am kind of still working. I'm working 4 days. I used to work 5 days, but I'm working essentially full-time hours split over the course of a whole week, as is the case for any business owner. I'm getting a lot better now with the boundaries, because I make sure that time is spent, that I'm with Rosa, that I'm present. I think quality time is much more important than quantity time. So I make sure that the time with her, I am present in that time with her, and the time that I'm not with her, I'm present in what I'm doing there. But the reality of this is that on paper, we have a great setup. We are not financially impacted. We have not been financially impacted by Rosa's birth. Many families have to make the choice to give up things to have to have less income. Many women have to give up their careers. They have to put everything in pause. They have to give up their own financial independence. I have not had to do any of those things. My business was still able to earn when I wasn't there because I have a business partner. Shout out Mark if he is listening. I'm sure he will listen. Maybe not this episode though, because if it wasn't for Mark, I wouldn't have been able to still earn and take a wage out the business when I was on maternity leave. So I'm very, very grateful to have him, and he's taken a huge chunk of the load when I was in maternity leave and when I was coming back to make sure that I got that time. So I'm very, very fortunate. We've not had a financial impact. I can be very, very flexible with my hours within reason. I'm at home, so I see Rosa all through the day. I still give her multiple feeds. We go a walk in the pram, put her down for a nap, spend time playing with her. When I clock out, that's my time with her. I get up in the middle of the fucking night to work before she wakes up, and I have the ability to do that. So logistically, we have a fantastic setup, and very naively, when I was pregnant, I thought, what can go wrong, right? We have the fucking dream setup. There will be no issues here. Everything will be great. And I didn't take into account the emotional impact and also how difficult it can be when you go against traditional cultural norms. And I had a really good conversation with my therapist about this, because she is also a business owner and a parent, which has been so helpful for me to have someone who can guide me through this journey emotionally, but who has context for how this feels. She's amazing. Jean Young, she is at Jean Your Best Self on Instagram. She is full for one-to-one clients because she is the best. So don't even fucking try it. However, Jean does have a self-development program for women, and I would highly, highly recommend, if you are looking to work with a therapist without engaging in one-to-one therapy, she is your woman. Go and check it out. But Jean has really been helping me to navigate this quite a lot, and I think she was able to remind me of that, the challenges and pressures that you feel are because you're going against cultural norms. So for example, when I was going to baby classes, and I'm a bit of a fucking weirdo. I don't really talk to people unless they talk. If you talk to me, I will talk back, but I very rarely initiate conversation with people. And if I do initiate conversation with people, sometimes I can sound a bit unhinged because it's about something that I find interesting, or it's about something that I've noticed that maybe the other person hasn't noticed. So it sounds like I'm just talking about a random fucking subject out the blue because I've had the first half of the thoughts in my head and not said them out loud. Paul says I do this all the time. So I either don't fucking speak or I speak too much. I really struggle. I really struggle with the in between. So I don't really speak to him at the baby classes because I look fucking insane. But at the baby classes, the first one I went to with Rosa, it was actually great. The girl that ran it was fantastic. It was a really nice thing to just do with her when she was so wee. But I really struggled to relate to the circumstances of the other mums, because they were talking about being at home on their own. They were up all night with the baby. The load was predominantly on them. Now, don't get me wrong. The mental load of a mother is there, whether or not you have the setup like I have or not. I still carry the majority of the mental load in all of Rose's admin. A lot of that is through choice. However, a lot of it just falls on us naturally. People phone me and go, is that Rose's mum? They don't even know your name. Do you know what I mean? But it defaults to the mother always. And I'm okay with that because I am her mum and I want to be her mum. However, the toll of that mental load takes its toll over time. Paul is an incredible father. He's an incredible husband, and I'm very, very fortunate. I mean, I married him because I knew he would be, right? I didn't marry a fucking loser. So, like, of course he is that way because I knew he was that way. And he will take his share. And obviously, because he's at home with Rosa during the day and does the predominant caregiving during the day, we kind of split it 50-50, to be honest. The way it works out really is that I'm the primary caregiver for 3.5 days. He's the primary caregiver for 3.5 days. The way that it works out, the way that we juggle the schedule. But we're a team. My best pal, Callie, told me something when I was pregnant or when Rosa was just newborn. It was like, remember that using in the same team and the baby's the enemy. And that is honestly, I pass on that advice to all parents because it's so easy to forget that and to build resentment towards each other and get annoyed with each other. And we really did find that in the early days. However, I feel like now we have a much better rhythm, much more routine now that she's getting older too. We know when to push and pull. We tap in and tap out whenever the other one needs it. So we have a really great setup. However, it doesn't take me away from the fact that it goes against that cultural norm. So I don't feel like I'm in the traditional mum role all of the time because I don't have the year-long mat leave and I'm not going to all the baby classes and I'm not taking the predominant load on my own. And I honestly think that because I'm not doing that, that's why my mental health is in such a good place. Like, genuinely, the fact that Paul is not out working and Paul has a really professional career, right? So he has the kind of job where Paul can do a 15-hour day at work and he just has to do it. And he's not got a clock in, clock out type of job. It's a highly specialised professional role. So he has to, like, he can get a phone call the night before and the next day he needs to be in fucking Aberdeen. So, like, the way his job works is it's a demanding role. So, like, if he were doing that and I was at home with the baby all the time, I could imagine that would be extremely mentally challenging because you have to stop being you to just be mum. So I understand why so many women experience postnatal depression and anxiety. And I definitely have experienced it in elements. I wouldn't say, I think because my mental health has been so horrendous in the past, I use that as the barometer. I think if I didn't have that as to compare it to, I probably would think that I've had postnatal depression and anxiety. However, I'm probably, because it's not to the severity that my mental health has been in the past, I'm actually all right. But if you're taking all that load on your own, that is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I'm obviously very aware of that. So I make sure that me and Paul share the load as equally as we possibly can. But like I'd said before, like obviously when I go to baby classes and stuff, I can't relate to the other mums. And I've been carrying a huge sense of guilt for the choice that I've made to run a business and bringing a baby into that dynamic. And will it impact her? Will it impact my attachment with her and her attachment to me? Am I present enough? Am I playing the caregiving role enough to be attached to her? And like I do. I know that I do because I'm with her all the time. I take breaks to work, but ultimately I either work or I'm with Rosa. I don't do anything else, which, by the way, I'm not advocating for. I'm still figuring out how self-care and looking after me fits into that. Right now it's training, but I'm building up to that more in time. So this is not me advocating for fuck everything and run yourself into the ground. Don't take that message from that because that is not what I'm saying. So I really struggled to relate and I felt like I was missing out. I felt like I was missing out on my perception of what mat leave actually is, when in reality, I know that it is not the fantasy that I'm making out to be. I know that it is not fucking trips out to garden centres for your lunch and fucking baby classes and like lovely fucking lying watching a film while your baby naps for fucking 2 hours, because whose baby naps for 2 hours? Mine doesn't. She is a 30-minute on the button girl. She is succinct like her mother, succinct and predictable. So I felt like I was missing out, and I've got a friend whose wee boy is 2 weeks younger than Rosa, and obviously seeing her kind of in her mat leave journey from the outside looking in, I'm like, that should be me. And I felt so much guilt for the fact that it's not. However, I also have so much that mums who are solo on maternity leave do not have, because I still have my work identity. I think that a lot of the time people can really look down on people for work being a huge part of their identity. Like, oh, they fucking live to work and it's a whole part of who they are. Like, I pride myself on that. My work is a huge chunk of who I am, and I'm really, really proud of that. And I think, honestly, when you're on a business, it has to be. Like, it has to be a part of who you are. You have to live and breathe it. Otherwise, you'll never take it seriously. So I do really pride myself on that. And I think, like, I have that. I have time. Like, as much as the time that I'm not with Rosa is spent working, I'm engaged in something that I love and that I'm passionate about and that makes me feel like me. I think that I've transitioned really well in my identity because I'm still doing the things that make me me. And a huge part of that is work. So I don't feel like I've lost myself. And I know that's something that so many women go through. I think I'm learning a new version of myself. Like, I'm not the person that I was before. And I don't have the life that I had before. But it almost feels like mum is a role that has been added in as opposed to the only role that I get to play. I have obviously the financial security, which is a huge one because financial pressure takes a huge, huge impact on people in maternity leave. And obviously I have Paul who's at home playing that predominant caregiver role with Rosa. So she's with her dad. She's not with a fucking random stranger like that I met outside the shop. So I think I'm really trying to work hard on looking at it through that lens and recognising that there are so many women who would bite their fucking hand off to be in the position that I am in. However, both can be true. Both can be true. It can both be that I am fortunate and grateful and that I'm also finding it difficult, right? Because I think that since I came back to work like full time in January of this year, it's my first experience of mum guilt, right? Now, when I used to hear people talk about mum guilt or maw guilt, as I would call it, when I used to hear people talk about maw guilt, I used to think, like, what have you got to feel guilty for? Like, your Wayne's fine. Like, you're away for them for a while. Like, what's the big deal, right? And I seen something as well the other day that was like, the best parents in the world are the ones that don't have children. And that is the truest fucking thing I have ever heard. Like, the perfect parent that I thought I was going to be before Rosa was born, like, absolutely not the case. I was really obsessed with doing everything right in the early stages because I have perfectionist tendencies, but thankfully that has lessened as she's got older, and I've recognised that, like, oh, she's fine. But yeah, so the maw guilt thing used to be something that I just didn't understand, and I think and this is personally speaking, please don't take this offensively, I'm not trying to diminish your experience. I think that business owner mums feel this to a higher degree because when you are employed, if you can afford it, you have the option of longer time off with your kid, right? I recognise that for a lot of people, they can't afford it and they don't have that option. However, speaking in my own cultural context, most people I know have taken a minimum of 9 months. 9 months is on the shorter side. Most people I know take a year off, right? So, and if I still worked in the NHS, that's what I would have done. I would have taken a year off, I would have saved up, I made a decent salary, so between Paul's salary and savings and stuff like that, we would have been fine and I would have took the full year. So to go from a year to I came back to work after 5 weeks, right? Not fully. Rosa was 5 weeks old when I came back on my first call, and I slowly transitioned back into work, I think, and then when she was 8 weeks, it was around 8 weeks that I started to take on more of my load. And then when I came back in January, she was 3 months old, or 3.5 months old. She turned 4 months old in the middle of January. And I started seeing my one-to-one clients again. So that was me kind of full-time back, right? So say 3.5 months, almost 4 months when I came back full-time. Now, what's really interesting is that in America, that's standard mat leave, right? 3 months is the absolute maximum. So this is the point that Jean was trying to make to me, is that these are cultural pressures. Sometimes when I speak to people, like the woman at Baby, I take Rosie to Baby Sensory on a Tuesday morning, and the woman at Baby Sensory said to me, because I had to leave because it's always, why is it when you take your kid to a baby class, they're always fucking due fed or a nap. Like, I've never taken her to a baby class where she's either not slept through it or cried through it because she's tired, or been hungry but refused the bottle because she's too distracted. I've yet to just go to a baby class and just fucking be in the class, right? And I'm like, why am I paying for this? Why are we here, right? Shout out Bookbug though. Bookbug is I think it's a Scottish initiative. I don't think you get it anywhere else. Well, they sing like Scottish nursery rhymes, so that's me assuming that it's Scottish, but Bookbug's free. So see when she sleeps through Bookbug, I don't give a shit because I'm not, I'm not fucking paid for it. But like, the women in the baby class, I had to leave because when I took her home, I was obviously going back to work, and then Paul was taking her out to go and meet his mum. Paul's mum's retired, and she looks after my wee nephew a day a week. So he was going to meet them. So I had to leave halfway through the class because she needed a nap, and I knew that if she didn't nap, like it'd been ages for she napped, if she didn't nap, when they with them went out, she would just have been a pure grump. They would have had a horrible time. So I was like, look, we'll cut the baby class short. I'll let her sleep for a good bit in the car. So I said to the woman, I need to leave. And she was like, oh, listen, if you're struggling to get out the door in the morning, you can come to a later on class. I do them at 10:30 and 11:30. And I was like, oh, thank you very much. I was like, but this is the only time that I can make because I need to get back for work. And she was like, oh, your baby's very young for you to be working. And I was like, oh, I'm self-employed. So, this is just, I just try and be flexible as I can with my time, but I try and keep in a schedule, like on a Tuesday morning, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, all right, like pure fucking judgy, right? She never overtly said anything, but like, you know, we can just tell that somebody's holding an opinion that they've not said. And listen, I've had tons of judgment and opinions. I've had a baby just needs her mum. A baby shouldn't be away from their mum. I'm literally up the stairs. Like, I'm literally fucking feet away from her. Like, she can hear me. I don't think there's been a time working from home that I have gone longer than 2 hours without doing something with her, right? Like 2 hours has been the absolute fucking max that I've been in the house working that we've not like seen each other. So yeah, I've had a lot of that. I've had a lot of the, oh, is it not a bit soon to be back to work? And I'm like, see, the thing is, people mean well when they say that, but I don't think they realise how fucking hurtful it is, because I'm like, do you not think that I'm not thinking that? Right? See those things that you're saying, I'm already thinking them, and I'm already trying to manage them emotionally. So, like, I don't need you to bring that to my attention, because I'm already really fucking aware of it and try to do something about it. But here's the thing that I always try and remember about me, is that I have never, for a very long time anyway, taking advice from people who are not qualified to give it. See, if I seek advice from people, I seek advice from people who I know are well qualified to be able to give me that, both from a professional standpoint, but in a context standpoint. I am not asking advice on how to navigate being a business and a mum at the same time from anybody who is not also a mum and a business owner, right? Because they just cannot relate to the context that I am living in, right? So I'm obviously only going to speak about that to other mums who are running businesses. But people still love to give you their fucking opinions, and I think that just intensifies the mum guilt. But when I spoke to Jean about this, she made a really good point, which is like, this is you role modelling for Rosa. And that was just an affirmation of what I already knew, because I knew when I set out on this journey it was going to be hard. I don't think I recognised how hard it was going to be emotionally, because I don't think you can have context for how hard it is to be away from your baby until your baby's here, right? But like, I always knew that that was going to be difficult, but I am hell-bent that I will show her that you can be it all, do it all, and have it all. You do not need to shrink yourself to fit the mould of what society's expectations are. You do not need to sacrifice a career and a passion to just be a wife and a mother. However, if you do want to do that, then you are well within your right to do that, right? I'm a feminist. I believe that every woman has the right and the freedom to choose the life that they want to live. If you want to be a stay-at-home mum and raise your kids, and that's where you find purpose and passion, I am your greatest fucking defender that that's exactly what you should get to do. And you should find someone and marry someone who will take financial responsibility and support you to do that. It's not my choice personally, but I will defend your right to the death to be able to do it, because that's what feminism is. It's the belief that every woman has the right and freedom to choose. It's not my choice, right? However, I want you to defend me as much as I would defend you, right? And I think, like, when you think about role modelling for your children, a lot of the time I think we think about role modelling for what they should do, but actually they will learn what they should do from what we do, right? And she needs to learn from me that it's okay to struggle, and it's okay to fail, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to try your fucking best at something that you really love and are really passionate about. And I want to show her that that's possible, that you can be a wife and be a mother without them being the sole focus of your identity if you don't want them to be, that you can have a career that is built on passion and drive and love of the thing that you do. Like, you can have that if you want to have it. You don't need to settle for the thing that's practical and makes sense. You don't have to settle for the thing that's the best hours for the most pay. You can go and build the fucking thing. Like, I couldn't find the job that I wanted to have, so I just fucking created it, right? Because any job that I went into, and a huge part of the reason why I left my corporate career, was the lack of real material influence. I couldn't make the change that I wanted to make. I was working within the confines of a broken system, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to make influential change. So that's why I'm on a mission to fucking change how the fitness industry works and leave my stamp on it forever, right? So that role modelling piece is so, so important, that not only do I need to show her that this is possible, but I also need to show her that I struggled with this and I spent a long time figuring it out, but I was okay anyway. And I think that's the key thing that I have to remind myself of, is that I'm just figuring it out, and I'll always be figuring it out, and I need to show her that that's an okay thing to do as well. She can just figure it out if she wants to. And I think a really key part of this as well is showing her that not just what's possible on the basis of what I do, but on how I respect myself and how I treat myself and how I view myself as a person, as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner, and how I navigate prioritising every facet of my identity. Don't get me wrong, there are certain days and certain times where one has to take priority over the other. And I think when you're in challenging periods of business, that's when the guilt probably creeps in the most. Do you know what I mean? Like that, like, have you got time for this? Have you bitten off more than you can chew? Should you drop more work? Like, should you shrink yourself? Should you take on less? And see, in that moment, I'm like, no, fuck this. I just need to find a better way of doing it, right? I'm not going to drop it. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm not going to bin off that really good idea for a better time. I'm going to find a better way of doing it than what I've already thought of, right? Who do I need to speak to? What do I need to research? Where do I need to go? Because there must be a better way of doing this, and I just haven't found it yet. And I think that's then the approach that you take to fucking everything when you're a business owner, because that is exactly how you think. When something's broken, I don't just think about how do I fix it. I think about how do I make it better so it breaks less, right? And how do I make sure that if it has to run at twice the volume, it still doesn't break? And that's the focus and approach that I think I need to take to this journey as well, is figuring out how mum coincides with that. Is like, how do I make sure that actually I don't break in the process, because I'm the person that has to keep all of these things functioning and running. Like, I'm the person who needs to hold my shit together and make sure that I can do this and do it well. And I can't do that by neglecting myself emotionally. I can't do that by ignoring my own wants and needs. Like, I can't do that by falling back into old bad behaviour, like patterns and traits. That's not going to work, right? So I think, like, when I think about the person that I want to be and who I want to become, and the guilt starts to creep in those busier seasons, there's something that I recognise for myself, and this is probably something, if you're a business owner mum, that you'll be able to relate to, is that those judgments and opinions that other people have of you, or that you think other people have of you, are often a reflection of your deepest judgments of yourself. And I speak to people like this all the time, right? I literally must say that to, like, I say that to at least a client a week, right? These things that you're judging yourself for are not actually, these things that you think other people are judging you for are projected self-judgments, right? And I didn't even realise that I was doing that to myself, because the woman at Baby Sensory maybe was judging me, but maybe she wasn't, right? Like, the mums who I was scared to say, like the mums at the baby class where I couldn't relate, and I was scared to say, like, oh, that's not my setup. I just nodded and agreed, and I was like, yeah, oh, what's it like? I should have said, no, do you know what, actually I can't. I mean, I didn't be like, oh, nope, can't relate. But, like, I could have been honest and spoke more about like my career and my experience and what I'm doing, and I avoid the conversation with people because I'm judging myself for it. The difficulty, I think, with anything to do with being a parent is that you won't know that you're fucking them up until it's already too late. So you won't know that something you've done has fucked them up until it fucks them up, and then you can't change it. And I think that's the key difficulty that I've experienced with this whole journey, is that I won't know if this is the right thing until I get evidence that that was the right thing. So you only have to trust that what you think is the right thing for you and for them is. And I think that although materially I know it is, and we have no other choice, like I say that to people quite a lot, like I've got no choice. When people were saying to me, it's too soon for you to go back to work, I was like, I've got no choice. The reality is that I do have a choice, but I didn't want to choose, right? And this is a thing that I think happens for so many women that I know who have been running really good, thriving businesses. They've had no choice but to give it up. They've had no choice. They're not in a position, they don't have the opportunity to do like what me and Paul have done. Or their partner's not been willing to do that, because I recognise it's a huge ask. It's not the traditional thing. Like, Paul's the only dad at the baby classes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes a certain type of person, a certain type of character. Paul doesn't give a fuck about what MD thinks about him, so it doesn't bother him. But, like, I think that if you don't have that, a lot of the women that I know who have had businesses and then had a baby have had to strip back the business to make time for the baby. And I just didn't want to do that. I could have given it all up. I could have dissolved it. I could have drained the bank accounts, lived off the savings, and then rebuilt something at some point further down the line, or got a job. But I did not want to do that, and that's okay. You don't have... I hate this belief that you have to give up your fucking life or everything that you had before when you have a baby. And don't get me wrong, there are so many elements and components of my life that just no longer exists, right? And that there's no longer space and capacity for, because Rosa has taken up that space and capacity. And I'm so glad that she has, because I chose that. Like, I'm living in a life that I chose, and I'm living in the circumstances that I chose to have because I wanted my child to fucking take over my life, right? Because that's why I had her. I love her. But I think I hate the belief that some people hold that you're somehow lesser of a mother if you don't let go of any of the things that were part of you to make that space for them. And I just think, like, again, this is something that I think unless you're a business owner, you don't have context for. Like, yes, you could close the business and go and take a year off, right? Money will always come back, but reputation, relevance, those things are a lot harder to retain, right? Like, if I took a year off and I tried to come back into the industry in a year's time, people will be like, who the fuck are you? It'll have evolved so much by that point that if my message and my brand have not stayed relevant and current, people will forget who the fuck I am, right? Like, your clients, yeah, you can let go of all your clients and say, I'm going on maternity leave. Will they return in 6 months? I don't know. Like, I don't know if they would. Maybe some would, some wouldn't. Like, they're looking for a service. They'll probably go elsewhere. Your reputation starts to dwindle as you're no longer present. So, like, yes, you probably could let it all go and come back, but you would need to probably fucking rebuild from scratch unless you have somebody else running it for you in the background. And I just think, is that what people then expect you to do? Do you know what I mean? Or I give it up completely and we live off Paul's salary, which we could do, but we wouldn't have the lifestyle that we have. And I really like our life, and I really like our lifestyle. And I really fucking like my job. I really like my business. And I don't feel guilty about that. I did feel guilty about it at the beginning. And I did feel guilty about loving my business and wanting to make space and time for that, as well as loving my baby and wanting to make space and time for her. But do you know what? Both can be true and both can exist. And I think if you are a self-employed mum or a business owner mum and you feel like you're not getting it right, good. Because I don't think you're ever supposed to feel that you're getting it right. I think you're always supposed to feel like something should be getting more of you. And I think that the more you feel like something should be getting more of you, the more you recognise that you have got more to give. Being a mum and a business owner has forced an evolution in me that I give even less of a fuck about what people think about me than I did before. I already really didn't give a fuck, right? And that's actually what the next episode is going to be about, like how I overcame that fear of being disliked. But like, I really didn't give a fuck before. I give even less of a fuck. I have never been more efficient with my time. The shit I can do with an uninterrupted 2 hours now because I don't have the time to waste. I also have much less time for people's shit, right? Like, I don't have time to waffle on and have pointless conversations. I don't have time to just talk about this thing for the sake of fucking talking about it. I don't have time to do anything that is not important. So anything that I do now is rooted in a big rock. It's an important thing. It has a clear structure, process, routines, like time frame, deadline. So that when it comes to Friday, and that is my day with Rosa, I am fucking buzzing for Mammy and Rosa Day, right? It's my favourite day of the week because I know that I've taken care of everything else and it's somewhere. And anything that crops up, anything urgent, it will get dealt with, right? There will always be those things in business that you need to turn your eye to, or an email that you forgot to write that you're sitting writing in your bed at 11 o'clock at night, okay? Been there, done that many, many a time. Sometimes I am starting work at 4 o'clock in the morning to get a work block done in that day that is already stacked, and that is the choice that I am making, not because I have to, but because I want to. And if you're a business owner mum who is trying to balance it and trying to feel like you can hold on to both, you're allowed to want both, you're allowed to love both, and you're also allowed to role model to your child that both are possible. So please, if you are like me, similar situation, and you feel that you're alone in this, know that you're not. I am right in it with you. I know there are so many other women who are in it with me. Please make yourself known to me. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment, let me know, send me your Instagram, we can chat. If you're listening to this on Spotify, DM me. I'm at coach.with.jen on Instagram. Talk to me. We can share tips, we can share tricks, we can share strategies, we can share emotions, we can share experiences, whatever the fuck you like. I know that there are more of us out there. I think there are less people speaking about it because of the judgment that we know that we face for doing a non-traditional thing. But here's the thing. I have taken a non-traditional approach to so many fucking things in my life. I've done so many things the way that you were not supposed to do them because I was struggling so much to figure things out the right way that I just ended up doing it my own fucking way. Me and my husband have never subscribed to traditional gender norms and roles in a relationship. It's just not us. It never has been. So it's just a theme that I'm really carrying on through my life. There will always be people who judge you. The people who are judging you just don't fucking get it. They don't need to get it. And you don't need to explain it to them or help them understand it. You can own it. And you can live that way proudly and confidently, knowing that all you are doing is the best that you can with everything that you have to make the right decisions for you and your family. And that is the mantra that I live with day in, day out. Even as I sit here in this podcast studio, filming this away from my baby, I am making the decisions that are best for me and my family with everything that I have available at this point in time to do so. And if I look back and I think I didn't get that right, that's okay. I'll forgive myself and try again. Because with every single day, you get to forgive yourself and try and be better again. And that's the key thing that I want to remind you of. There are not a lot of people who you know who do this or who you can relate to because it's really fucking hard, right? And a lot of people choose not to do the really fucking hard thing. And I'm not saying that if you don't do this, you don't do hard shit. I think any working mum finds it difficult being a working mum in any context. The guilt is present, the emotions are present. I think the uniqueness for a business owner mum is at that time of just being mum with her babies at home is drastically shortened in comparison to what employed mums will get. And you will experience all those emotions and challenges probably further down the line. But regardless, I think that it's important to hold strong and firm in the recognition that you are doing what you think is best, and that's okay. And it's okay if you get it wrong. So you can be with me in solidarity as someone who is trying and failing and trying again every single day. That I am in awe of you and all of us who are doing this and doing it well, because even when we think we're doing it shit, we're not. Even when I think that I've got it wrong, my baby gives me the biggest smile, happiest smile in the world. And I'm like, right, well, she must not think I'm a dick if she's giving me a smile like that. And just a recognition that, like, one day you will look back at where you are right now and go, how the fuck did I manage to do that? Like, I want to look back and be in awe of myself over the last 4 months and everything that I've managed to do, recovering from a C-section, rebuilding the entire infrastructure of a business, heavily, heavily, heavily pregnant. If you go back on this YouTube channel, you'll see me at 39 weeks pregnant, breathing like fucking Darth Vader because Rosa was a huge baby and seriously compressed my lungs. And I think I fucking did that. And I want her to look back and go, my mum fucking did that. So that's exactly why I'm doing it. So that is my love letter to you, the self-employed business owner mums. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you felt slightly less alone. And if you resonated with anything that I said in this episode, then please don't be a stranger. Reach out and we can have a chat. I'll see you in the next one.